You're listening to Love Talk Live with the relationship expert, Jaime Bronstein, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jaime Bronstein, your host, and today I have with me Laurie Burrows Grad. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
This lady is remarkable, incredible. You're going to hear her story. She's done so much in life, and I'm so excited to share her with you and just to hear her story. She's done lots of stuff in life. She's also a widow. She's going to be telling us her journey. And before we get started, I'm going to read to you a little bit about Laurie. So Laurie Burrows Grad is a cookbook author, television chef, food journalist, and activist and fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association. She hosted her own cable TV show called Laurie Cooks Light and Easy, which aired on the Learning Channel, as well as the Travel and Living Channel. She is currently the editor-in-chief for one of the top food sites, epicurious.com, where she contributes regular features on travel and food. In the humanitarian arena, if that wasn't enough, she is a highly regarded activist for the Alzheimer's Association of Los Angeles. 24 years ago, she created an annual star-studded fundraiser dinner called A Night at Sardi's. And it has been the event's chairperson ever since, with her husband, Peter Grad, raising over $30 million. Sadly, on August 1st, 2015, her husband of 47 years, Peter Grad, died suddenly. Laurie has now written over 130 blogs about grief on the Huffington Post and Thrive Global, which has helped her on her journey, but has also helped others around the world. In March of 2018, Laurie's book, visual aid, The Joke's Over, you can come back now, How This Widow Plowed Through Grief and Survived, was released. Also in 2018, Laurie joined the board of Our House, a grief center. Her website, lauriegrad.com, has been a haven for widows and widowers who need support. So, as you can see, this lady has done a lot in her life. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, from food to widowhood.
From food to widowhood. And I'm sure that even beyond just what I just read, I'm sure you have so many more interests and
I do.
Lots of colors in your life.
I do.
So, before we jump into some questions that I've kind of prepared and just thought about would be interesting for our viewers, I think it would be great for our viewers to hear about this love that you had with this wonderful man, Peter Grad, that you talk about in your book. So, what would you say is the thing, the key? What was it that kept you guys together, kept you growing? What was it?
So being married 47 years is a long time. It's almost a half a century, and I can't believe it'll be 4 years since Peter died. And I say the word died. I don't say pass, because Peter passed gas. He passed a football, but he did not pass away. We have to use
She's funny.
You have to use the word dead, and it's kind of like out of Monty Python. But I do use humor, because humor is what my father wrote Guys and Dolls. My brother is a director, Jaime Burrows. My father was Abe Burrows. I come from comedy.
Yeah.
So I used comedy because the first blog I wrote was demoted to lunch, because everybody said, "Oh, let me take you to lunch." I said, "WTF, take me to dinner." So, but the secret of our success was, I don't know if you remember the movie City Slickers.
Yes.
And Jack Palance, the one thing. And it was that you didn't have to be right. Nobody has to be right. There is nothing to be gained. And if you just say, "Oh, I could be wrong," it's not easy, but it works. And that's what kept our marriage going. He was my best friend. He was really an amazing guy and so good looking. If you saw the dating I have.
We're going to get to the dating.
I know.
Okay, so, well, it's interesting. So you're saying that your biggest thing that helped you guys was that to kind of take out the righteousness. Nobody needs to be
Exactly.
right, and to own up when you know you're wrong.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad is fine. You have nothing to lose. And everybody says, "Oh, I have to be right. I have to be right." You don't. You don't have to be right.
I love that. And
Yeah.
it definitely helps. I have a feeling that in addition to that, that you guys probably had a soul connection and you came to this earth and it was like this energetic thing. I kind of look at the right and the wrong as like a surface level thing, but I have a feeling, because when we spoke on the phone, you described your relationship as epic. And so I feel like there was something really deep and connected also.
Well, I met him when I just got out of college. I was very young. And my roommate invited him up for dinner. And he thought he was dating her.
Oh.
But she had somebody else. And so he got there, and I was wearing, this was the 60s, I was wearing a rabbit mini skirt and twiggy eyelashes. And he said he fell in love. We were married 4 months later.
Oh, my God.
We were engaged in 2 months. I knew that he would be my best friend. I knew that for some reason we had this connection.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he had his ups and downs physically. He had some illness, but he always bounced back. But this time he didn't bounce back.
I'm just sensing that there was just such a love there.
Yeah.
Just an underlying, no matter what happens, just that strong love.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe is an epic love.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
And
hard.
you had it.
It really is hard. And I cried. I mean, I single-handedly could have saved the California drought with my tears. It was just crying. And people who say to you, don't cry. What? You're not going to not cry. You have to cry. You have to cry. And actually, I wrote a blog about tears, because emotional tears are very cathartic for you.
Mm-hmm.
They're healing.
Yes.
Who knew?
Yes, absolutely. I always feel better after a good cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also it's a message to ourselves that our body physically is saying, you know, I'm upset right now. I need to let this out. And the fact, I think it's actually, it's incredibly beautiful that you allow yourself to feel, because so many people don't allow themselves to feel and they stuff it away. And
Oh, you cannot. You must let it out. That's why I joined Our House Grief Support, because I want to teach people how to grieve. I want to teach people that it's okay to grieve, that it's okay to grieve publicly. And widows were never given that chance. We had to be quiet, and we are second-class citizens. There's so many couples that say, you know, that don't want you around as an extra. You know, it's really a class system, not the Indian class where the woman went on the pyre, and no, not that bad, but it's hard. It's hard.
well, I think one of the greatest things that you're doing is that you're saying to the widows out there and to the world that to be vulnerable is important, because
Yes.
that's how you connect also.
Totally.
Okay, so, well, one of my first questions, and we kind of glanced upon it just now, was about how your status changes. And you brought up the whole like demoted to lunch, which is in her book, which is brilliant and funny. So yeah, what was that like with the status change, and what would you say to our viewers who might be going through this or have a friend who's going through this? How did you deal with it?
Well, I'd like to tell my story because we were away on vacation, and Peter was fine. And in the middle of the night, he said, I can't breathe. And I called 911. We were staying at a friend's house. And by the time I got back down, I said, what's my name? And he said, Laurie. And I thought, oh, thank God. And then I said, what's my name? And he went, blah, blah, blah. And he was brain dead. And he died in front of me. And it was a blessing for him, but not for me. It was, and suddenly I was thrust into this widowhood. I learned that the hospital shows you the body with tubes coming out. I am single-handedly trying to tell the medical profession how to treat a widow, because it is very difficult. I had to get rid of that vision of him with the tubes and remember him, and I did. It was important. I did visualization and I did things. But so I was suddenly widowed, and I was treated as if I were demoted to lunch. I lost my status. I lost everything all at once.
So you felt like even your your best friends?
No, my best friends rallied around me, and
Okay.
you learn who your best friends are. I had a posse. I had a posse of friends who wouldn't leave me alone. They were fantastic. And I had my son and his wife and my grandkids, but my friends were the ones who pulled me through it.
Yeah, that love, right?
That love.
And I know you talk about in your book that even just that hugs, that you love hugs. That's what people need when they're grieving. Hugs.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't get a lot of hugs. I still don't. You crave.
I'm hugging you. I'm hugging you.
But it's interesting. You don't get hugged. You don't get that feeling.
Mhm.
And that's a hard feeling to lose. Because we were really touchy-feely. We were disgusting. We held hands.
You guys were the PDA
we
couple?
Were disgusting. Yeah. And it was great. It was great. And I did but some people would say to me, well, at least you had 50 years. No, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me all these platitudes.
Yeah.
He's in a better place? Excuse me, a better place would be right here.
Mm-hmm.
A better place is not. No.
Yeah.
And platitudes are the worst things you can say to someone.
And actually, as long as you're bringing this up,
Mm-hmm.
so Laurie has lists of things that are the best things to say to people that are grieving and going through bereavement, and the worst. So I picked out some of my favorites.
Oh, good.
Would you like to read them?
Of course.
Okay. So these are the worst things.
The worst thing, he's in a better place, which I just said. Everything happens for a reason. There is no rhyme or reason to loss. Time heals all wound. Well, time is a help, but it doesn't heal anything. It really doesn't. Try not to cry. We talked about that. It's time to put this behind you. There is no timetable for grief. Everybody grieves in a different way. It's like snowflakes.
Yes.
There are no two grievers alike.
And I would like to point out something about that point. In the DSM-4, there is a diagnosis, it used to be, but not anymore, because it's not in the DSM-5, where bereavement, so when someone dies, if you are depressed, let's say, for I think 2 months after they die, it's bereavement, and then it's just depression. So it's like they gave you 2 months to be in bereavement. So they've changed that since then. But that made me think of that.
No, it's crazy. And you are depressed, but you're depressed in a different way. And alcohol will not help you. Drugs will not help you. Sleep is a very hard, and we should come back to that. Anyway, I know how you feel. Somebody said to me, I know just how you feel. My mother died a couple of months ago. I said, no, you don't. And I was not exactly swift on the uptake. I was a little cruel. I went, no, don't tell me. But you can't compare. There is no comparison with grief. There is no hierarchy of grief, and I've written a blog about that. Let me tell you about my own loss. I don't want to hear about anybody else's loss. I'm struggling through mine. Surely you'll find someone. That so many people said, oh, when are you going to date? This was 2 weeks after. And you'll get through it, be strong. Well, you should not be strong. We are not Jackie Kennedy. We should not be like her. We should just go with it.
And be human.
And be human.
And be
Exactly.
the unique being that you are, and grieve however long you need to and in whatever way.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then the good things, I'm sorry for your loss is the gold standard. Some people object to it, but it's the easiest thing. Hugging someone because they're not hugged. I love you. And to also not ask what someone can, you don't say to them, well, would you like it if I brought over dinner? Just bring the dinner.
Yes.
Worst comes to worst, they have extra food.
Mm-hmm.
But just do it.
Yeah, it's the
because
gesture.
Decisions are really hard. I don't know how you feel, but I'm available to help. I'm always a phone call away. It's okay to cry. And then the best things are the memories, because you want to share the memories. You want to share the good things. You want to laugh. Peter was cremated, and my son and I said, the cremation box is disgusting. We have to get a new one. So he went and searched, and Peter was a Raider fan.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually found a Raider box, but we didn't do it.
Oh, my God.
I know. But you have to laugh at these things because I know he would be laughing.
And sometimes, just as you're saying that, I'm just getting this image of, it sounds like it's a movie, where you see the family and they have this moment and then you hear the music and where you just finally it's kind of like a laugh cry.
Yeah.
Because you probably do a lot of that, laughing and crying together.
My brother said the best line at Peter's memorial. He said, "What do you say about a man who sleeps with your sister?"
Pretty witty.
I know. So
what do you say? What did he say?
He said he was a prince. Aww. He said he was a prince, and it was a beautiful moment. And I just cry. I cry all the time. I think of him, I cry. It's okay. Yeah.
One thing that's coming to me right now that I would like to share is, and this is different than, well, at least you had 50 years or whatever together. This is more of, I just want to acknowledge you and just tell you how beautiful it is that you had this relationship. Not like, well, at least, but just, yeah. I mean, I honor you for finding it.
For the commitment. And it was a commitment. I mean, relationships are a commitment. They're not easy, but it was pretty easy for us. There
was something that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
That was just there.
Yeah.
And it was.
And he was a kid. I loved that part of him. He was just a kid at heart.
He was fun.
Yeah.
And you have a sense of humor, so you guys made a
We
great
did
match.
laugh. We laughed a lot. Laughter is so important. I mean, when I was in my worst state, I had to watch The Princess Bride or something. I had to watch comedies. Comedies help.
It does, yeah. Well, they always say laughing is good for the heart.
Yes.
Which...
it's another muscle.
It is. You got to work out that muscle.
I know.
Okay, did we finish this list of
pretty
our things to say?
Yeah, and how are you doing this minute? Don't say, how are you doing today? It's even too much, but how are you doing is the worst thing you can say. How are you doing this minute? How are you doing right now? Narrows the field so that you don't have to, you want to say, I'm feeling like crap. This is horrible. But this way, you'll say, well, maybe I'm not as bad as I was yesterday.
Yeah.
The little bits of progress. When I write to other widows online or they write to me, because they say, I tell it like it is, I say that it sucks, and I say
Love
that,
it,
yeah. And they say, thank you for doing that, because it really sucks. But I tell them to write, because journaling is the most important thing you can do. Because if you write it down, then you can go back and say, oh my God, I was worse a couple of days ago.
I like that.
I'm better. Maybe this feels better. And so you see your progress.
I love that. And along those lines, what's coming to me, and I know you want to discuss, therapy, a therapist, because I feel like what you're saying is that it's kind of like you do your own chronicling, but then also when you do go to a therapist, one that you vibe with, one that's really good for you, they can kind of be the monitor to say, you know what, I'm observing, you seem like you're better. So I'm wondering, what would you say, what's your advice of how to find a good therapist?
Well, I got two names, one through Our House and another one, and I went to see them both, and I liked the first one. And then the second one, talk like this, she whispered, and I called her the grief whisperer because, and there was a flight pattern going overhead,
God.
and I couldn't hear anything she was saying. And apparently it's de rigueur, it's proper to whisper about grief. Well, it's not. I want to scream about grief. So finally she said, will you come back? I went, no.
You screamed, no.
No.
Or did you say, no?
But my therapist helped me a lot. And then I joined a group at 3 months, because you can't really join a group until then. And Our House runs these wonderful groups. And I was with 8 other people who were in the same boat. And when you're in the same time frame, you can really, you go to the group, and instead of saying, why me, you say, why not me? Because other people are in the same boat. Mm. And so there's a feeling of camaraderie, and it helps you get through it.
Yes, I feel like any type of situation, any type of group situation, it's very bonding. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you don't feel like you're alone
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some laughs in there. I'm sure you brought the humor.
I did.
And that really is the only, like, you walk down the street or you're with your friends, and one of the things that you said, you don't want somebody to say, oh, I know how you feel. But these people really know.
Oh, they know.
How you feel.
They know.
I'm sure you formed some great friendships.
I did. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I call people occasionally, and we don't meet as much as we should, but I call them and they go, oh, Peter would have loved this, or, So, yeah, it's nice.
So do you feel like you ever really get closure? Is it the same type of, like, say you have a breakup, and I know people talk about closure. In this situation, obviously, he's not here to talk about the closure. Do you feel like you ever get back to a new normal? Do you feel like things are restored? Is closure a myth? How do you feel about closure in general?
There is no closure. You will always grieve. You will always have a part of you ripped out of your heart, and it will smooth over a little bit. The edges will not be as rough, but part of your heart is gone. And there is no closure because there cannot be closure. It's impossible. And then people talk about a new normal. Well, I don't call it normal because it's not normal. I call it acceptably different. That's my acceptably different.
Ooh,
I am
like
restoring my life to something. I am restoring my life. I am not. I'm not repairing it. I'm restoring it to a different place. And I'm quite advanced now after 4 years. I can talk about Peter without, falling into a puddle and blubbering on the floor. But I call my life acceptably different. And it's with friends and writing and helping others. When you write and a widow writes me, it gives my heart, it enhances me in some way. Giving back is my path to restoration. So.
I love, that's a great quote.
Thanks.
Giving back is my path to restoration.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
It is.
I'm a writer.
So, and I know you, with all respect, I know you did want to talk about dating, and it's in your book. So how has dating been? And I do have a quote that I would like to read. Do you want to tell me about how dating's been first, or do you want me to read this?
No, please, feel.
Very
bring
funny.
it back.
Well, she talks about a man who she's gone on a few dates with, dated. Well, it says the first boyfriend, his name is, she calls him the dude. And a kind of funny thing about him was that she says that he smelled, which is never a good thing.
No, I should have known then.
Never a good thing.
No.
Get him some deodorant or something.
Oh.
But when I read that, I was thinking, you know what? The pheromones. Oh, it's such an important thing. Like, it's very real. We want to, in somebody's presence, we want to feel that we, even like if he hasn't showered for a day, like, you still love the way that the guy smells. And I'm sure you felt that about Peter.
Smelled soapy. He always smelled soapy. He showered all the time. He smelled great. This guy, woof, no. And he had no money. But other than that, he was perfect.
Except for, this is what she said. Okay, so she said, not once had he told me I was attractive. And this is under, she had been talking about red flags. Not once had he complimented me. I was used to a man who worshipped me from the moment my head lifted from the pillow, with bedhead, to the moment it touched down again at night. Each time I looked in Peter's eyes, I saw worship, adoration, and respect. So it sounds like
none of these men, not one guy, and I haven't dated a lot, but not one of them says, God, you look hot. Nothing.
Are they still in their ego? Like, are they still in high school where they're not confident enough? Or what do you think it is?
I don't know. My first date, I went back to a reunion at the University of Pennsylvania, and I met this guy who was a widower, and he was an actor. I should have known then. So I said, let me meet you in New York. I got to the restaurant. My butt was not in the seat before he said, I almost didn't make it. I had an attack of diverticulitis. So I went, wine, please. Give me wine.
Sure.
Now, immediately.
Taxi.
In the vein. So I started drinking.
Wait, did he say it? Was he like laughing a little
No.
bit? Cute? It wasn't cute?
Deadly serious. And then he ordered pasta with raw sauce, which has seeds in it. I said, are you a medical moron? What is the matter with you?
Oh my God.
And he proceeded to talk about himself because he's an actor.
Oh, and then his health issues and just all by himself.
But after dinner, he took my arm and put it in there, and that was enough to counteract the dinner because I just felt like I was on the arm of a man. And that was a nice thing. But most people, I'm tall, and somebody fixed me up with a guy also around that time, and they said he's about your height. He made Danny DeVito look like Shaq. He was so short. How short was he? He was so short. I looked at the bald spot on his head all night long. And he was very nice, but he was unattractive. And sometimes they're so unattractive I had to drink them cute.
It happened. Beer goggles, is that what they got? Yeah.
You
beer
drink them
goggles.
cute. And I was the designated driver. This was not a good thing.
Oh my God. I used to always say when I was single and dating that, and I say this to my clients, that if you're on a date and it's very not good, let's do glass half full. At least, what can I learn from this person? Like, there has to be something. Like, I dated this guy, I was not into him. He was getting his master's degree at Northwestern, and he was obviously very smart, and he had just invented a product, and I had an invention idea. So I was like, take me through the process. At least I'm going to get something out of this.
Yeah, you have to. I tried a dating service called It's Just Lunch.
Oh, I heard
which
it's good.
should be It's Just Out to Lunch. One guy even lived out of his car.
Oh my God.
This is just the worst 4 dates. One guy wore a members-only jacket. I rest my case. It was just pathetic. They were the dregs of the barrel, and I paid. And I will never do that again.
My wheels are turning, by the way. Everybody that knows me knows that, like, I start to think, ooh, who can I fix her up with?
Well, in your 70s, somebody said, what do you look for in a man? And I went, a pulse would be a good start. Because half of them are half dead. And it's so hard to find someone who is of my political ilk, of my need to have theater and art and culture and, be able to afford to go out. And so I wrote a piece for the LA Times called How Do I Date? It was in the LA Affairs section. And I got 28 men on my website looking for dates. Yeah.
Did any of them pan out?
No.
You didn't meet all of them?
There was only one. One of them was, he wrote in all caps, he said, my poor old eyes can't see so well, and I'm here with my pet cockatiel, Snoopy. So he was eliminated off the top.
Okay.
But this is what happens. It's just crazy. Somebody fixed me up with an 87-year-old man. And he was not of my political ilk, and he was just rigid and disgusting. And I gave him a copy of my book. I said, you're a new widower? He said, I don't read.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely no. Red
Hello?
flag.
So that's my dating so far. It's not great.
My Nana met her boyfriend, who has now died, not passed on, died. She was, I want to say, like 80-something, and he was already 90-something, and he lived till he was 100 and something.
Wow.
So you never know. And once again, I'm not being like, you'll meet somebody. That's not why I'm telling you this. I'm just saying that, you never know.
I'm always hopeful. Hope is something that a widow needs to have. You need to have hope that the next day won't be as bad. You need to have the hope that maybe you will meet someone. You need to have the hope that you will feel better and it won't be this horrible feeling of loss.
Yes, yeah.
So I give other widows hope. Right after Peter died, I met Sheryl Sandberg, who had written this beautiful treatise on widowhood 30 days after her husband died. Her husband died at 47 suddenly. And she wrote this blog that went all over Facebook. And I met her at a party about 3 months after Peter died, and she said, I am 8 months out, it will get better. And those were words that kept me going. And so I try to tell other widows, you will get better. It takes time. It really does.
Yeah.
And it takes good friends. Oh my God. I would just not be here without my friends.
Friends are, they're everything. And I like that you're very real about it, and I feel like you're inspiring the viewers and the people that read your blogs and your book and everything, that it's not that some other man is going to come by and replace Peter. It's just, it sounds like you're really saying that it will be different. It will be different, but that you're human and you want love, just like everybody does.
I will never stop loving Peter, because just because he died,
Right.
I don't stop loving him.
No.
That was a relationship. It's still in my head. It's still in my heart.
Yes, forever.
But I can open my heart up to loving somebody else. There is always room. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, with the time that we have left, I just want to make sure we have some other things we need to definitely discuss. You can choose your topic, because we need to talk about cooking, and we need to talk about the fact that she might have gotten a tattoo. Okay, let's go with the tattoo. So, Laurie has a beautiful tattoo.
I do.
Would you like to tell us the story?
So, my friend Carrie took me to the Shamrock Social Club on Sunset, where Johnny Depp and all the celebs go. And we signed up at 7 o'clock with Danny. Well, 7 o'clock in tattoo hours is like 4 in the morning. Forget it. They don't come in till midnight. So we got somebody named Isaiah who would do this. But in the meantime, there were all these strange people coming in and out.
I'm sure.
And there were a couple of meth heads. But
You felt right at home.
I felt right at home. I said, are you crazy? No. And it hurt. But
did they numb it? I've never had a tattoo.
No.
They don't numb it?
No. You just...
Wow.
You just...
Why can't they numb it? Because it gets inflated.
They put a little numbing cream on, I think, but I don't remember. It was 3 years ago. But it was my badge of courage. I could endure this pain. So for some reason that helped me.
And it's like a sensitive area. It's thin skin.
It is, but better than the ankle. The ankle apparently is worse, but I'm not going to get another one. That's it.
And this, when it's on your wrist, you see it more than your ankle.
I touch him. Yeah, if I'm sad, I touch him.
Well, it's gorgeous.
He would have liked it.
It's very tasteful.
He would have liked it. LBG loves PG. So.
That's an inspiration. If anybody has any questions about where to go, Laurie will actually go with you to the tattoo parlor, introduce you to Isaiah.
No, it was a hoot. It was fun. And apparently there's etiquette, and you have to tip these people who do. You have to tip tattoo artists, and you're not supposed to have alcohol, because I think you could get tattoos all over your body if you're drunk as a skunk. So.
And with the blood, it's a blood thinner. I wonder if that matters.
Yeah.
Or just because you get drunk and
I read
make
all this
bad
stuff,
decisions.
and then I wrote this blog about it. So.
Oh yeah, I read in your book. You said you wanted to do a shot of vodka, but you waited till later. You did not do it before.
You read my book, you good girl.
Thank you. I like to read, unlike that date who did not like to read. So, cooking. Let's talk about cooking and how Laurie says it's very healing.
Well, people did not take me to dinner, but I began to have people over to my house. And as I had people over to my house, I started to cook. And cooking for me is therapy. Not for everybody, but for me, it is calming. There's something wonderful about it. I've written 4 cookbooks, so it was fun for me to do this. And then people took me out after. So I invited them in, and then they reciprocated. And that was a way to get... And there was another time I had to take people out to dinner who had already taken me out several times, and they wouldn't let me pick up the check. So I ended up slipping the waiter my card. There are all kinds of ways you can do it, but you have to. Yeah. And I wanted to treat people.
So what is it about cooking that you feel like is therapeutic? Besides for, I know like food is love, and you're cooking for, is there something like meditative about it when you're actually cooking?
You're serving other people, you're helping, you're creating a nice dinner, a nice time. There's something beautiful about that. And I've always like to entertain. So for me, it brought me back to my roots. And I was eating popcorn, chocolate. I lost weight. It was not good. Some people gain weight, some people lose weight. But I had to eat more nutritiously. So now I make myself dinner. Well, sometimes.
Because then you like to go out for dinner also.
Sometimes I have chocolate.
I do too, and it's okay.
It's a food group.
Yeah. And if it's organic and it's like dark chocolate, it's actually good for you. Not like 2 bars a day,
but popcorn is not a good.
I actually just today went to Whole Foods and got a bag of cheese popcorn and regular, and I'm trying to do dairy free, so.
Yeah.
But why not?
Why
not?
Some
cheese popcorn once in a while, you gotta live.
So cooking inspired me to entertain and to make people feel better, and in a way, giving back is part of my restoration, and that goes back to all that.
And
but who's going to zip up my dress was my first thing. I went to get dressed, and I went, uh-oh, I can't do this. So I had to invest in one of those Gucci's.
Oh, there's a thing?
Yeah, there's
like a hook?
On Amazon, of course.
Okay.
It's Amazon Prime Day. We could all buy them.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But I realized all these things that I still, it's 4 years, and I set the table for 6 the other day.
Wow.
I know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually very cool.
Yeah.
So you weren't in the moment.
No.
Your mind was somewhere else, and you set.
The first time I did it, I fell to the floor in a heap, sobbing. But this time I was able to say, oh, maybe I'll set a place for Peter, like Elijah at Passover.
Yes. So did you keep Peter's and then you took away the other?
No, I didn't keep it. But it's something that happens. It's all new. Everything is new.
And I know that, I don't know what you believe or what anybody believes, but I just like to throw it out there that, sometime if you did want to set the setting for him, I believe he's always with you. And so, that would be an intentional.
He's in my heart. Yeah. Somebody said, would you like to see a medium? And I said, I'd see an extra small before I'd see a medium. I don't believe in all that stuff. I just don't believe in it. And just, Peter made me a better person. And I think he would be proud of me. So, yeah.
I didn't meet him, but I know that he would be proud of you.
Yeah. And he would be telling me to stand up straight. Exercise
did you have bad posture?
No. Exercise is so important. It's really important because the first few times after Peter died, I wanted to walk and I would be blubbering, and that was okay. But I kept walking because walking is so important. And I walked and I did books on audio books, audible books, and that got me out there because I couldn't concentrate on reading. The words went blah. So I did audible books, and it helped me to come back.
Yeah, well, they do say that, there's a hormonal component to working out.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's just healthy. Yeah,
yeah,
it's healthy. So that's, and I'm sure you didn't do it right away, but I commend you for getting to that point where I know they say you just need to get out of bed. I think I was reading your book. You need to just 1 second at a time.
Yeah.
Take it 1 minute.
I'm trying to think of the other things. As a widow, I'm just going to go for chapters because I want to cover everything. A support group I talked about. Siri and Alexa are my buddies.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And when I didn't have Peter, I would say, Alexa, wake me up at so-and-so, or Alexa, play me the Beatles. And so they became my friends, and actually a woman in Penelope Green wrote a piece in the New York Times, and she quoted me on that. It was interesting. Cleaning, what to do with his clothes is a topic, and cleaning out his closet. I got rid of the stuff pretty soon, but a lot of people don't.
Did you keep some of your favorite items?
I kept a sweater. I cuddle in his sweater. Not today because it's 90 degrees out, but
you could use it as a pillow.
Yeah. I did keep a few sweaters, and
Do they still smell like him?
and I kept his watch, and I put all the rings. I'm not wearing them now, but I put all the rings on a chain, and I wear them.
Oh, I love that. That's
And
beautiful.
because his ring was so big, it was like this.
It was heavy.
It was big, and it would slip off my thumb.
Right.
So,
It would obviously would not.
but people
fit
want to
you.
know what to do with that. There was something called saudade. Saudade is a Portuguese term. It means the presence of absence. And I wrote about that because sailors used to go off to sea, and the people would have their presence even when they're absent. So I talked about that. I talked about financial stuff.
That obviously changes.
Yeah, you have to make sure, those of you who are still married, that you learn how to do all this financial stuff, how to pay the bills online, how to do that. Be prepared, because it happens to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Death happens,
Yes.
and people are not prepared.
And you guys were married for so long.
Yeah,
And it obviously that was his role.
yeah,
So it wasn't something that you needed to know.
I know. And
It sounds like you've really just discovered I know that you always thought you were strong, but really like even more empowered and really how strong you are.
yeah,
And capable.
and I was able to say no more easily. People would say, "Do you want to?" No. Do you want? No. I was very definite because I knew I had to be egocentric in a way
Mhm.
and take care of myself.
Absolutely.
And a widow really has to take care of herself. So
You need to honor whatever you're feeling in that moment.
And my greatest gift is the widows that write me and tell me that they cherish my writing and that they find comfort in it.
Hmm.
So for me, that's the key.
And I feel like now you're just going to have even more people that are going to go out and buy
I
this
love it.
beautiful book.
Thank you.
So if there's not anything else you want to say, but let me know, then we can wrap it up and you can tell people how they can contact you, buy your book, everything.
You can buy my book on Amazon. It's called The Joke's Over, You Can Come Back Now, which is kind of a funny title. And you can contact me at www.lauriegrad, LaurieGrad.com.
And her phone number is, I'm kidding. And her address.
Yeah.
You'll be getting lots more dinner dates. Wonderful. And as always, you can contact me through my website, therelationshipexpert.com, or email me at Jaime@therelationshipexpert.
This
It's
has been lovely.
Jaime. Thank you for doing my show.
I love
You
it.
are amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that we did this, and she's a gem. She's a gem.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. This
thank
was
you.
fun.
It was.
I
Thank
would
you for
have worn
joining.
a brighter color, but
She's absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
thanks,
And
Jamie.
thank you, and thank you for joining us today.
Wow.
You're listening to Love Talk Live with the relationship expert, Jaime Bronstein, only on LA Talk Radio.